and throng magistrate in Port Harcourt to protest against imposition of emergency rule. On the foreign scene, U.S. judge says Trump administration could be held in contempt of court over deportation flights. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Olufemi Alagi. Three suspected herdsmen have been arrested following the attacks that led to the killing of 11 persons at a Tobi community in Otukpo local government of Benue State. Governor Hassan Allah disclosed this while briefing journalists at the government house in Makurdi, the state's capital, expressed worry over the situation and called on security agencies to track down the perpetrators. According to Governor earlier, National Security Advisor Nuhu Reproductive has promised to deploy more security assets to the state to arrest a renewed wave of attacks in the state, especially the Otukpo axis. The governor also announced the deployment of security personnel to the affected area for the three suspect headsmen addressed in connection with the Otobi killings earlier. The governor sent his deputy Samuel Ode to an assessment tour to the devastated community. State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has vowed that the killers of their sponsors responsible for the attacks in Bassa communities and other parts of the state will not go unpunished. In a state broadcast on Wednesday morning, Governor Mutfwang described the attacks as coordinated acts of terror aimed at displacing residents and undermining their rights to exist peacefully in their ancestral lands. At least 51 people, including women, children, and the elderly, were killed in the latest attack in Kwal district in Bassa local government area. Homes were equally razed, properties destroyed, and scores of people were injured. Governor Mutfwang noted that the attacks came amid the government's efforts to address similar violence in Boko's local government area. 52 lives were lost and hundreds of homes were reduced to ashes. He said troops and security personnel had been deployed and reinforced in vulnerable communities to restore calm and strengthen vigilance. The governor announced a restriction on night grazing and a ban on transportation of cattle by vehicle in the state after 7 p.m. He also announced a restriction on the use of motorcycles from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. across the state until further notice.
I speak to you today not only as your governor, but as a fellow son of Plateau who shares in your anguish and feels the weight of the pain inflicted on our people. We are once again confronted by sorrow as heart-wrenching attacks have taken the lives of innocent citizens in our communities. In the late hours of Sunday, April 13, the calm of Kimakpa area of Kwal district in Bassa local government area was shattered by violent assaults on Zike village. Innocent men, women, and children were murdered in cold blood. Homes were touched, properties ravaged, and entire families left in agony. These attacks occurred even as we were still mourning the loss of over 50 lives in Bokos. The scale, the frequency, and intent of these atrocities are unmistakable. Let us be clear. This is not random violence. This is not an isolated conflict between farmers and herders. What we are witnessing is a systematic and premeditated campaign, one that seeks to displace, destabilize, and instill terror and fear on our people and communities. The tragic echoes of Dogonahawa, Riom, Barkiladi, Mangu, and the Christmas Eve massacres in Bokos remain vivid. The cycle continues, but it must not endure. Enough is enough. As your governor, I stand resolved. Plateau shall not be overrun by fear, nor shall we accept this culture of bloodshed as the new normal. My administration is intensifying efforts to protect our people and enforce the rule of law across all local governments.
In the meantime, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has called on President Bola Tinubu to suspend his France trip and urgently return to Nigeria to address the deteriorating security situation, particularly in Plateau and Benue states. In a post shared via his official X handle, the 63-year-old criticized the president's absence amid worsening violence and insecurity across the country. The former Anambra State governor lamented that over 150 Nigerians have been killed in the past 2 weeks, citing renewed attacks in Plateau and Zamfara State, while pipeline explosions in the Niger Delta further highlighted the country's dire state. Mr. Obi describes the nation as being in distress and likened the president to a retreating CEO far from the headquarters of his failing company. He urged the president to take swift and decisive action. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday inaugurated a high-level committee on the forthcoming National Population and Housing Census. Disclosing these in a statement, President's spokesman Bayo Nonuga said the committee will submit an interim report within 3 weeks. Chief of Staff Femi Bajamiamila represented the president at the event, said the census is crucial for national development, accurate planning, and effective decision-making in healthcare, education, security, and economic planning. Nigeria's last census was in 2006, nearly 2 decades ago. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who chairs the Presidential Committee on Population and House Census, assured the residents that the committee will deliver its reports within the 3-week deadline. The National Population Commission Chairman, Nasser Isa Kwara, who will also serve as the committee secretary, said the commission has already begun preparations for the National Population and Housing Census in collaboration with other relevant stakeholders. He assured Nigerians that the National Population Commission remains committed to ensuring a credible, technology-driven enumeration that will support effective national planning and development. In Rivers State, women on Wednesday thronged major streets in Port Harcourt to protest against the imposition of emergency rule in the state under the aegis of the Rivers Women Unite Prayer Group. The protesters kicked against the suspension of Similai Fubara as governor. They chanted slogans and demanded an end to what they perceive as an unconstitutional state of affairs in Rivers. Monday's protest is coming on the heels of last week's women demonstration in favor of Governor Fubara, who was suspended by President Bola Tinubu owing to the political crisis in the state. In the meantime, the House of Representatives ad hoc committee overseeing the emergency rule in Rivers State has invited the sole administrator, Ibakita Ibas. Ibas is expected to appear before the committee on April 17, and Tuesday, Speaker of the House, Arjudin Abbas, inaugurated the 21-member committee to ensure transparent governance and the rule of law in the South-South state. The presiding officer of the Green Chamber said the 1999 Constitution confers on the Parliament the authority to make laws for any state in which its legislature is unable to perform its statutory functions. A statement on Wednesday by spokesperson of the House, Akin Rotimi, said the invitation will provide Ibas with an opportunity to address the Parliament and offer an update on the state of affairs in Rivers. He added that a formal letter of invitation has been sent and acknowledged by Ibas. Elsewhere, the Katsina State Police Command has arrested two suspected car thieves, rejected a ₦1 million bribe, and recovered a stolen vehicle, among other exhibits. A statement by the Command Public Relations Officer, DSP Abubakar Sadiq, said during a preliminary investigation, it was revealed that the vehicle was reportedly stolen from Abuja. He said the suspect then offered a bribe of ₦1 million in cash to the patrol team with a view of evading justice, which the officers sternly rejected, adding that the suspects are in custody. The Commissioner of Police, Katsina State Command Bello Shehu, commended the officers' commitment to upholding the law and exhibiting a high level of integrity. Here in Osun State, calls have been made for further access to sexual reproductive health services in Nigeria as they remain below globally acceptable standards. These were stated as a non-governmental organization, Olabode Youth and Women Initiatives, has organized a two-day health rights capacity building workshop for media practitioners in Osun State. In his welcome address, Executive Director of Oinwen, Comrade Moruf Olabode, highlighted the organization's ongoing commitment to address reproductive health challenges faced by young girls and women. He emphasized that government efforts remain inadequate, particularly in ensuring that young girls and women have access to affordable, acceptable, and confidential contraceptive options. The workshop featured presentations facilitated by public health consultant Olufemi Olushola, who provided in-depth insights into the principles of SRHR advocacy strategies and the critical role of media.
We've been engaging the stakeholders for a series of meetings. We've started late December last year. We've engaged the civil societies. In January, we also engaged the policy makers, and we also paid a advocacy visit to House of Assembly, making them realize the gaps that we noted in the guidelines for safe termination of pregnancy in Osun State. So we identified some gaps that has to do with the rapes and incest. So we're seeking the support from the policy makers at the House of Assembly, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Justice, and Public Health to help us look at it and inculcate the gaps, so as well to strengthen the guidelines, the safe termination guidelines in Osun State. So that's why we've been able to engage several the stakeholders. So, and then the first phase of it, we've almost captured 6 months in the past. So the next 6 months is starting with the media.
You're watching News at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, JAM says candidates are free to sit for UTME anywhere on Western Spring Television. Reminder of our headlines. 3 suspected herdsmen arrested following attacks that led to the killing of 11 persons at Otobi community in Benue State. Peter Obi calls on President Bola Tinubu to suspend France trip to address deteriorating security situation. In Rivers State, women throng a major street in Port Harcourt to protest against imposition of emergency rule. On the foreign scene, the U.S. judge says Trump administration could be held in contempt of court over deportation flights. The Nigerian Navy says it has intercepted over 1,300 bags of foreign boiled rice at Majindun community in Ikorodu West local government area of Lagos State. This was contained in a statement by the base information officer, Nigerian Navy ship Beecroft, Lieutenant Hussaini Ibrahim. He said the seizure was made on Saturday, April 12th, by Operation Awetster team while conducting routine security and anti-smuggling operations within their area of operations. The Joint Administration Matriculation Board has stated that its candidates are free to sit for the examination anywhere in the country. examination body is reacting to a misleading publication regarding the UTME, which inaccurately claims that candidates cannot sit for the examination outside their state of registration. In a statement by the Public Communication Advisor, JAM, Fabian Benjamin, he said the information disseminated by a news medium is incorrect. He further stated that candidates have the freedom to select the examination town from any location across the country, regardless of their state of registration.